All right, Jason Garrett wins our first to get fired this season contest. He was the only non-head coach on the list. Dolphins have won 4 in a row. The Patriots have won 6 in a row and been kind of dominant doing it. And this just in, despite the entire crowd at Soldier Field putting their 2 cents in, Matt Nagy still has a job. All this and more on the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. All right, here we go. Welcome back to another edition of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. This is week, I don't even know what week it is. 13? Okay. We straddle the week, so I always get confused whether we're behind or ahead. So anyway, I'm Brad.
This is Zach.
And I'm Hefe.
Okay, I got to go through this, but I'll go through it quickly. We'd love for you to join our Patreon community. There you can find all of our stuff in one centralized location. Individual game analysis, Fantasy Central, weekly pick and contest. Everything's there. www.horsemansports.com. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the, before you go, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss any of our content. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Horseman Sports. And did we mention you can catch both shows, the weekly breakdown in Fantasy Central with Zach and Hefe on WUBI, Ubiquity Radio, on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Arizona time. So, all right. As always, we start with our weekly pigskin pick'em leaders. Big shout out to Todd Haney. He's got a 1-game lead on Willie on the west side and myself in this crazy, crazy season. We still got 1 game left, but who is tonight? I forget.
Seahawks, Washington.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a
Boring.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know who chose what. I don't even remember who I picked. So we'll see. But anyway, big shout out to Haney for being the leader so far this week. Who's our bye week?
Cleveland, Green Bay, Tennessee, and Carolina.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, is there anything big that stands out with you guys? I mean, I think Green Bay can definitely use it to fine tune some things, heal up a little bit. I think I don't know what to think about Cleveland. I don't know what to think about. We're going to talk about this all for the next hour, but I don't know what to think about Tennessee. I don't know what to think about Cleveland. I don't even know at this point that the week off is going to do them any good, other than Mayfield's hurt. But Mayfield's broken in so many places. I think he needs a whole year off.
I think that's the biggest thing that stands out to me with these teams is the fact that, like, I like Kevin Stefanski a lot, but he already said, like, he's going to play Baker. And, like, how many bad offensive outings as an offensive coach, you're the guy calling the plays. How many times does the offense have to not do anything for a full 60 minutes for you to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and play my veteran backup quarterback who has been to an NFC championship game. I will play him in this offense because his team is built to win now. And the quarterback we have, like Brad was talking about, Baker's got like 6 different injuries that he's playing through. You have to sit him. You have to get him healthy. You have to get him right. Because, I mean, the torn labrum is going to be an all-season thing. Like, he's going to deal with that for the rest of the season no matter what. So at some point you have to know as a head coach, like, we have to fight to get into the playoffs right now. We're in the bubble, in the hunt, but not in the playoffs at the moment. They have to get something going. And that right now I feel like that falls on Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, I mean, even a little bit more than Kevin Stefanski. Like, I applaud, and we kind of got into it last week regarding Baker Mayfield and what's going on there. But I applaud Baker's heart and determination to get out there and play. But yeah, it is affecting the performance, and it doesn't help that he's got a ton of other injuries on the team, plus a bunch of drama going on. You had the Odell Beckham Jr. drama. Now you got Kareem Hunt's father coming out saying stuff. So all this drama, all the injuries, but Baker's out there trying to fight, but it's not getting done. So yes, this falls back on the coaching staff, who determines the playing time for the players. They need to step up and be like, no, we need to make a change because it's not working. You're too hurt. You need to heal up. And it also falls back on the medical staff, who aren't stepping in and doing their jobs. what they get paid to do and say, this guy has 6+ injuries, he needs to sit out. So it's falling back on both the medical staff and the coaching staff, in my opinion.
I got nothing to add to that. I think you guys pretty much laid that out there like it is. At some point, the thing about the AFC is it's still so wide open that the Browns still have a shot to get in, and that's what they're clinging to. But I don't know what they're going to do when they get there. That's the problem. So at some point, at this point in the season, you would think he would be in a position to say, okay, it's not going to happen this year. We need to just acknowledge that and recalibrate and start retooling. But they're still in the hunt, and that's a hard spot to be in. But you have to. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a coach, but you have to start wondering what kind of a toll this is going to take on Baker Mayfield in the long term. The longer you play hurt, the more you risk of it being chronic and bothering you later. So there's a whole lot going on here. There's a whole lot of variables, and I don't know, man. Risk reward. Somebody probably needs to start really weighing it out and seeing where they're headed, because it's a disaster right now, and it's sad because this Browns team, we talked about them again in the season. This was in my opinion, one of the more talented teams in the league, and I thought we were going to see better from them. And it's got to be frustrating to be a Browns fan and watch this happening to you again, which we talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think Baker Mayfield needs to reach out to Drew Brees, who dealt with the same thing, had the labrum issue in his shoulder, and then teams, back then, obviously medical science was different. Teams didn't believe in him, but they're like the same stature. I think, if Baker were to sit down and talk to a guy like Drew Brees, Drew would tell him like, "Hey, look, man, it's going to be tough, but you need to sit out, get right, come back healthy for this team next year."
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Anything you want to say about any of these other bye week teams?
A couple things real quick. With the Green Bay Packers, they just blew off my expectations. They're down a couple starting offensive linemen. Aaron Rodgers still went out there, balled out, did what he did, and I mean, it just shows just how good Aaron Rodgers is for him to go out there with a broken, fractured toe, hurting like crazy, missing 2 of his starting offensive linemen, missing your starting tight end, go out there, sling the ball, and put it to the Los Angeles Rams like he did.
And he rushed for a touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, that is true. He did with that broken toe.
And I don't remember the play. I don't remember who it was, but they were pushing and pulling. He was running. He ran sidelines, ran out of bounds. Somebody was pushing and pulling defensive back, and he basically just pushed him off of him. You probably didn't even see it happen, but I thought, what a boss, man, a quarterback pulling to get the hell off me move to a linebacker. It was great to see, but kudos to Rodgers for. It's kind of scary. It should be kind of scary for everybody in the NFL if they just did that to the Rams and they've got a week off coming into this last stretch. Get some guys healed up and retool a little bit and look ahead. The Packers are legit.
Yes, they are.
That they are. I'll tell you somebody who's not legit, and that's Cam Newton in the Carolina Panthers. Did you see his stat line?
No, I didn't look at the stat line.
Oh, I got to pull it up real quick. It was awful. Hefe, did you see it?
Yeah, it was 5 for 21.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Didn't get to 100 yards. Ended up getting pulled for Phillip Walker, who didn't fare much better. I think altogether, both quarterbacks combined for like 33% completion percentage.
So I haven't been a Cam Newton fan in the past, but you heard me say a couple weeks ago, I was hoping the guy, had been through some things and kind of matured a little bit and saw life a little bit differently. So I can say at this point, I'm completely neutral with Cam Newton. I gotta ask, is this Cam or is this Matt Rule?
I'm honestly, I started wondering the same thing. Obviously, there's plenty of proof in the past. Last year with Cam and the Patriots, it could very well just be Cam. But I feel like last week, Cam had a good game, and then this week the offense and obviously Cam being a big part of that just completely shit all over themselves. And so I feel like it's a combination of both. Whatever Matt Rule's done in 2 years is the offense has been inconsistent. It doesn't always work. So I think they can both be blamed.
Are we looking at the end of Matt Rule's career? Well, not necessarily his career, but his time here in Carolina.
I don't know. Go ahead, Hefe.
I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Rule either resigns or gets fired at the end of the season and goes to be the coach at Oklahoma.
I was getting ready to say the same thing.
That's interesting. Huh. All right. Well, you heard it here first. You didn't hear it from me, but you heard it here first. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to this week's game, shall we?
Let's do it.
We got a lot to talk about. This season, it just keeps getting weirder. The crazy thing about this season is this is one of the weirdest seasons in 40 plus years of watching the NFL. This is one of the craziest seasons I've ever been a part of. But the irony is that the only one consistent thing that we have is that the Patriots are back on top. Right, Hefe?
Not yet. They're the hottest team in the NFL, but they're not on top yet.
I just thought, even the Patriots. I mean, this isn't what we expected out of the Patriots. And right now, the current trajectory they're on a collision course with the Green Bay Packers. At the way this whole thing is going, obviously we got a lot of football. A lot of things can change, but if I had to pick two teams right now, those are the two teams I put money on.
Yeah, well, I think what we're going to see from the Patriots over the next, really the rest of their schedule is fairly difficult, and their 6-game win streak, they've played some bad teams. So it'll be interesting to see what that team is able to do against better competition. But, they look good. They're, dominating teams the way they should when they're playing the bad teams. So they're definitely a threat right now.
Well, and I'm gonna counter what you said, even though I don't need to. I know that I know we're on the same page with this whole thing with the Patriots. Still waiting for the other shoe to drop, but they look pretty tight. All right. So in the last, I don't know, six weeks or so, they put up 25, 35, 54. Close game with the Chargers, 27. 24-6 over the Panthers, 45-7 over the Browns, 25-0 over the Falcons, and 36-13 over the Titans. They're putting a lot of points on the board, and they're holding people to very few. And that, my friends, is a winning formula that we've seen out of Foxborough. So it'll be interesting to see what they've done here. Dude, they beat the Browns 45-7. Now I know the Browns got problems, but the Browns are still a good team. The Ravens struggle to beat the Browns. So they better look out, man, because this guy knows how to win, and they're doing it. Okay, so let's go to the Cowboys and the Saints. Right out of the gate, my head's spinning. The Cowboys lost what? Have they lost 4 in a row? 3 in a row?
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. Okay. Yep. Yeah. There's a part of me that's like, well, this is it. This is the Cowboys' wheels are coming off. This is what we expect out of them. I don't really know what's happening. I don't know why this is happening, but I don't have any faith in the Saints either. And despite the fact of being at home, I don't know. I have to take the Cowboys because of the better record, and overall, I think they're the better team. But they could be in a serious tailspin here, and they not only got to fight the Saints, they got to fight themselves to get out of it. But I'm taking the Cowboys.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. The Cowboys are definitely struggling right now. And I know McCarthy just came out. He has COVID. I'm sure that's going to be spreading around. There's probably going to be a few more positive results coming out of the Dallas Cowboys camp this week. So it'll be interesting to see who's actually going to be able to play. Hopefully it's just contained to McCarthy. But, these guys are in and out every single day seeing each other. So I'm sure there will be some more positives tests that come out of Dallas. But with the way that the roster is now, going up against this New Orleans Saints team who can't find their identity, who's struggling to get a quarterback. Rumor is that Taysom Hill is going to be the starter this week. So they're just trying to throw a dart up on the wall and hit the target at this point. So because they don't have an identity, their offense isn't clicking. I'm not sure what Alvin Kamara's status will be. Hefe may know this because he's an injury report expert over here. But if Kamara's out, it's for sure Dallas Cowboys. If he's in, the Saints might have a chance depending on who is actually playing for the Cowboys. But that's a big if, what, when, where, how. I'm going to go with the Cowboys as of right now.
Now, so to touch up on a few things, Alvin Kamara was a limited participant at practice. Looks like he's probably going to be back. Mark Ingram, full participant. He'll definitely be back. So the Saints should have both their running backs back. But I believe that Amari Cooper, because he's unvaccinated, I'm pretty sure the timeline works out that he's going to miss this game too. Cowboys 3 games in like 12 days or something like that. And so I think he's possibly going to miss this game. Might have to keep up with that one because I know the timeline was close. And CD Lamb should be back. So it gives me faith that the Cowboys can win this game. But from what we've seen with the Cowboys, can they get it done? I don't know. The obvious answer here, 82% of people think the Cowboys are going to win. And then as of right now, I'm one of them. I might flip-flop here. I did see something on Twitter just a little while ago that there was rumors that there was like 8 people from the Cowboys, coaching staff and players and whatnot that got a positive test for COVID. So kind of keep an eye on that. I feel like I'm going to regret picking the Cowboys here, but I am.
Okay. So we're all 3 taking the Cowboys, but we all 3 agree this game could go either way, and especially in this season, there's no telling what to expect. All right, the next game is the Buccaneers. No, the next game is the Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 5-6. They're kind of floundering around, but with what the Bucs were able to do in Indianapolis yesterday, which was more to do with the Colts shooting themselves in the foot repeatedly. But still, we'll talk about the Colts in a minute. Colts are one of the best teams in the league. It's the little things that are killing them. They got to get their shit together. But they're still a very good football team. They in Indianapolis, and the Buccaneers did what they had to do to win. The Falcons are nowhere near the caliber of the Colts. I don't see this being a problem. I'm taking the Bucs.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot more I can add to what you said. I'm sitting here looking at the Falcons schedule. They've won, 5 games on the year. They just had a 7-point win against Jacksonville, but the previous wins, they won by 2 points, 7 points against the Jets, and 3 points against the Giants. So even their wins this year have not been impressive, and they've all been against really bad teams. So the Falcons are just not a good football team, and there's no way I could take them over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who just went in and beat the Indianapolis Colts when the Colts were one of the hottest teams in football.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. As much as I like, what the Falcons do when Cordell Patterson's actually in the lineup, they don't have a chance in hell against the defending Super Bowl champions. This one's easy. Going with the Bucs.
That might have been the shortest segment you've ever given. I mean, you usually have a lot of information to share, and you're just like, no, this ain't going to happen.
Yeah, no, the Falcons had a little bit of hope when they got to like 4-4, but recently we've seen the real Falcons, and it's not pretty.
Yeah, we're all 3 taking the Bucs, and you should too. Speaking of, we're all 3 taking the Cardinals. Putting the cardinal before the horse. Sorry, bad joke. It wasn't even really a joke. It's not even mildly funny. The Cardinals are going into Chicago. Dude, the fans are chanting for Matt Nagy's head. I don't understand why this guy's got a job. I don't understand. Start rebuilding the shit right now. It's over. And the fans, I don't care if this guy turns this thing around and they end up 500 on the year. The fans are done. I can't I can't. He'd have to turn it around to 500 this year and then come out of the gate blazing next year to get the fans' respect. I can't. And I'm sure the locker room's gone as well. What a disaster! The Cardinals. All the Cardinals fans are all pissed off because I said a minute ago the Packers were headed to the Super Bowl. The Cardinals are going to have something to say about that at 9-2. There's no way the Bears win this game. I'm taking the Cardinals.
Yeah, I agree. It's time for Nagy to go. We've been calling for it for weeks now. Yeah, you just had a win on Thanksgiving. Congratulations. You beat the winless Detroit Lions by 2. The Cardinals are coming out of a bye. Kyler Murray may be back. DeAndre Hopkins may be back. They're both listed as questionable right now. However, I anticipate both of them to play. Even if they don't, this team is so stacked and talented. There's no way that the Cardinals are going to lose to the Bears this week.
Yeah, when I was looking at this game initially, I thought, maybe the only way the Bears are able to win this game is if, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins coming back, didn't play for 3 games and then the bye week, so they haven't played in a month. Maybe there's some rust and there's a pick 6 early and the Bears get up and it changes how the game goes. But, I just feel like even if the Bears have a miracle happen and they get up by 2 touchdowns somehow, the offense for the Cardinals is going to explode whenever they need to. And so every avenue points to a Cardinals win here.
Absolutely. And explode is a good word. The Cardinals offense they could go 3 quarters and they could win this game in the 4th quarter very easily. And Matt Nagy, he can't even beat Jason Garrett and getting fired first.
If you if you had to take a guess on what the spread is here, what do you think it is?
Since you're asking that, I'm going to guess 14, which is a whole lot.
I would say 10.5 given to the Cardinals.
Would you believe me if I said 7.5?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what that's about. None at all.
But I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. We're moving on.
Yeah, taking Cardinals all day on that.
It's a trap. Don't buy that. It's a trap. All right. Next game up is the Chargers at the Bengals. This could be a really good game, but the Bengals they're fighting for the AFC North. They're at home. We're late in the season. I'm really interested to see if the Bengals are for real. This is when we're really going to see it. A homestand coming into the last stretch, making a punctuation mark on their division. I just want to know if it's an exclamation point or a question mark. But in this one, I'm taking the Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals are looking good right now. The last 2 weeks, they put up 32 points on the Raiders, 41 points on the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you go through the rest of their schedule from the beginning of the season, they're consistently putting up a lot of points. I know they've had a couple close games that they've lost. They should have won, but the Bengals are looking really good. I feel like we talk about it every single week. The Chargers, they also have times when they look really good, but they're still trying to find themselves. They haven't crossed that peak yet to becoming a really good football team, in my opinion. So this week, Bengals at home. I think it's going to be a very exciting game to watch. There's going to be a lot of points put up by these 2 rising stars and Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, but I'm taking Joe Burrow and the Bengals at home.
So I'm going to counteract your exciting game pitch because I think this is going to look a lot like the Broncos-Chargers game that was very boring to watch. The Broncos dominated the Chargers on the ground. Teddy didn't have to do much, but he did enough. He kept some drives alive. Obviously, Drew Lock had to come in for a drive, and he threw an interception, so they threw Teddy back out there. But the Chargers don't look like a team that can beat a good team. They're so inconsistent up and down. In the defense, I think Asante Samuel Jr. being out is going to be a big deal, and it kind of showed against the Broncos, even though, again, there was only 25 passes for the Broncos in that game. So it didn't test the air very much, but you don't have to when you play the Chargers. Joe Mixon had a really nice game, over 160 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground against the Steelers. I expect that recipe to continue here against the Chargers. They're going to dominate on the ground. They're going to dominate time of possession that way and keep the Chargers offense off the field. Joey Burrow does not turn the ball over very much. I don't expect that to happen here. And I think the Chargers, I think the Bengals do what they just did to the Steelers to the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, my final thought, I agree with everything both of you said. My final thought is if the Broncos can do that to Chargers, imagine without a guy like Joe Burrow, imagine what the Bengals are going to be able to do. So we're all three taking the Bengals. All right, next up, gentlemen, the curse is broken. The Vikings didn't upend me last week. I picked the Niners and they won. It's broken. It's over. You can trust me now. As soon as I say that, they'll go into Detroit, and Detroit will probably get their first win of the season.
Yeah, somehow, some way.
But just based on record alone, I have to pick the Vikings. And I like the Vikings, so I wouldn't mind seeing them win. But damn it, I really want the Lions to get a win. But I have to take the Lions. Or I'm sorry. See, there you go, Freudian slip. You take the Vikings, and the Lions are going to win.
Putting it out there. This is a divisional game. The Detroit's at home. You never know what can happen. Dalvin Cook probably out for the rest of the year. Patrick Peterson's out. They got some injuries going on in Minnesota. Everson Griffin's dealing with some mental health issues. So there's a lot that could go right for the Detroit Lions in this game, but because of the records and the stats and all that stuff, got to go with the Vikings. I would like to point out real quick that Kirk Cousins has better stats than Aaron Rodgers. I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in interceptions not thrown. Dude's thrown 23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers has thrown 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Kirk Cousins has a better completion percentage and more yards. So he's just quietly putting up huge numbers. They're just not getting the wins and the publicity to follow that, or else he may be in talks for the league MVP. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's completely on the Vikings defense. The Vikings offense has been balling every week. And obviously, when your quarterback is putting up numbers like that, it's going to reflect well for the offense. The defense has been the problem. Will they get Dalvin Tomlinson back? That's going to be something to watch. He's a big run stopper for them. He's a huge reason that the Niners were able to run all over him because he was out because of the COVID protocols. So, this is the perfect game to have a couple guys out, right? You're going up against the Lions, who have no hope to win any game against anybody in the league when DeAndre Swift is not in the lineup, which he has already been ruled out for this game against the Vikings. And I like Jamal Williams, but he's not that guy, not somebody I think they're going to rely on to win this game. I think the Vikings come out, put a shitload of points up on the Lions, and win.
Okay, we're all three taking the Vikings, and you can safely bank on that one because the curse is broken until the Lions beat them. All right, next game up, the Giants at the Dolphins. This one's got me. Garrett's gone. The shackles have been thrown off. The Giants appear better already. I'm not buying. Dude, the media is all over Tua's nuts today. The Dolphins have won 4 in a row. Everybody's like, here they are. This is what we've expected. Look, I've been on this guy's fucking bandwagon for almost 2 years. And do you know who they've beaten? I mean, they beat the Panthers. We saw Cam's stat line. They beat the Jets. They beat the Texans. They got manhandled by the Bills. They beat the Ravens. And if somebody wants to cling on to that, I'll point out the Ravens have won, 3 or 4 of their games in overtime? I mean, the Ravens they have broken their fingernails hanging on for dear life to have the record they have, which they're still winning. And I'll give them everything. It's hard to win in this league. It's hard to win in anything. It's hard, but in this league where it's determined by little things, a drop pass here and not executed play here. The Ravens are still winning, but they're not the upper echelon of the league, and the Dolphins had a good day. I'm not buying it. And I'll back off and even give Tua some breathing room. I'm still not convinced he's the man. And for some reason, the media has got this, that the Dolphins are coming back and they're going to challenge the Patriots. That's probably hype because they play the Patriots, I think maybe the last game of the year. I'm not buying it. I don't know who I'm going to take in this game because Garrett's gone. The Giants, hopefully they're going to start getting their shit together because they're not hamstrung anymore. The Dolphins are just beating up on bad teams. The Giants can very well go in and win this game. The only reason I'm going to take the Dolphins is because of their defense and they're at home. That's it. But I would not be surprised if the Giants win this game. But in the end, I'm taking the Dolphins.
Yeah, look, we've been talking about the Dolphins for 2 years now. It's been the same old thing ever since Tua came in. Yes, they are winning. You win football games in the league, good things are going to happen. They have a very, very, very favorable schedule towards the back end of this season. They're playing the Giants this week, which I think they will win. I'm going to take the Dolphins here, even though the Giants seem to get better now that Jason Garrett's gone. But I still think overall Joe Judge is not a good coach and the Giants aren't very good. Plus, they're going through some injuries and all that stuff. So I'm taking the Dolphins. However, they're playing the Giants this week. They're on the bye. Then they play the Jets. After that, they play a struggling New Orleans team, who we talked about earlier. After that, they're playing the Tennessee Titans, who has like 30 of their starters on the IR at the moment. They're struggling. And then they're finishing out with New England. So they could win another 4 games. And if things fall into place, they can sneak in as a wild card in the AFC. How crazy would that be after losing, 7 games in a row earlier on in the season?
Yeah, thanks, Indianapolis.
Yeah, no kidding. So they could quietly sneak in. I don't think they're a very good football team. I don't think Tua is a guy, but because of their favorable schedule, they might just get up there. Of course, the media is going to continue to be all over Tua's nutsack, but in the end, the truth will come out that Tua is just not a very good quarterback for this organization.
Yeah, and look, Tua's looked good the last 2 weeks. And so I understand why people are talking about him, and rightfully so. But I think the important thing to hammer home from what you guys said is the competition that the Dolphins have been facing. It's been, bad team against bad team, and the Dolphins are like the best of the bad teams in the league. That's been pretty apparent over the last couple of weeks. But they're going up against a team that, again, without Jason Garrett, I thought the Giants, they obviously didn't go out and put a bunch of points up, but they were more efficient with the ball. They took care of the ball. It looked like a safer offense. And when you get a guy, I'm pretty sure Kadarius Toney probably going to be back this week. Sterling Shepard is probably going to be questionable all week, but I feel like the way the timeline's gone, he should probably be back this week. So I think with getting healthier, I think the Giants under Freddie Kitchens, hopefully continue to take care of the ball. That's obviously been a problem for Daniel Jones in the past. And I think the Giants are going to be better in this game than the Dolphins. And so I'm going to take the Giants on the road.
Oh, wow. Okay. FA's taking the Giants. I want to make a couple points. I just want to clarify my points. I'm a Dolphins fan, and I would love nothing more to be wrong. I had read a couple weeks ago someone say that it takes longer, and I hadn't thought of this before. I don't know why I hadn't thought of this before. It takes longer for an offense to develop around a left-handed quarterback because everything's mirrored. I don't know how true that is or isn't. It makes sense. I don't know how accurate it is. If that's the case, Tua may be finding his rhythm. So I may look really stupid. They may win this game in dominant fashion, and they may get better, and they may win out, and then they may be fighting for first place in the last. I don't believe it with Tua. But I still think they're a decent football team if they can just I guess we could say that about anybody. They just shore up a couple things. So I'm just not completely down on the Dolphins. I'm just not sold that they're going to turn this. I mean, we got 5 weeks left. I'm not sold they're going to turn this around. But I'm not real high on the Giants either. So take that for what you will. I hope it's a good game for the fans. And I'm just rambling. So anyway, Zach and I are taking the Dolphins, and Hefe's taking the Giants. Next game up, the Eagles at the Jets. I don't have much to say other than I'm taking the Eagles.
And the Eagles really,
I'm starting to believe. I'm starting to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, they laid a goose egg last week against the New York Giants, lost 13-7. But they really let me down that game. Did you guys take the Eagles or the Giants last week?
I think I'm sure I took the Eagles because I'm trying to get hyped up with them.
Yeah, I don't know. They really let me down, but come on, it's the New York Jets. The Jets are only averaging 18 points. They're giving up 30 points a game. Surely Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Devontae Smith, they could put something together to put it to the Jets this week. So I'm taking the Eagles.
So it's not confirmed yet, but Jalen Hurts might miss this game.
Ooh.
And you know what that means. It's Minshew mania going into New York in the Big Apple. I'm taking the Eagles to beat the Jets with either quarterback.
All right. Look, if Minshew comes in and gets a win, Hefe, you have to come back next week with the Minshew beard, the Minshew mustache. Yeah. What's he got that little? Does he still have it? I haven't seen. Still got that little soul patch and that 70s porn stash.
Yeah, probably.
All right. The three of us are taking the Eagles. There's no way I'd take the Jets. All right. Next game up is the Colts and the Texans. I wish I could say it's a big AFC South. Look, the Colts are their own worst enemy, man. There was Pittman dropped a pass that should have never been dropped yesterday early in the game. Could have changed the trajectory of that game forever. Even Wentz underthrew a touchdown pass that could have changed it. I mean, look at the score. That they put those 7 points on the board. It's a completely different outcome. And there were several other faux pas throughout the day. They keep shooting themselves in the foot, and that scares me because you know how I feel about discipline with small mental errors and penalties. It all comes back on the discipline of the coaching staff. And Tony Dungy and Caldwell were classic buddy coaches. Just we're your buddies, and but that you have to have more discipline in the locker room than that. And I'm afraid for what I'm just afraid that that's going to continue. They are so good, man. God damn, they're so good, and they're gonna blow it. They're their own worst enemy. But after that rant, I'm still going to take the Colts over the Texans. There's no way. I don't want to say there's no way I'll look like a fool, but I'm taking the Colts.
Yeah, they have to put together a complete game. Like you sit there, they'll get a huge lead. We saw it with the Ravens. We saw it with Tampa Bay, even Tennessee a few weeks ago. Like the Colts are just blowing it. They come out, they look like one of the best teams in the league. And then a few mistakes here, a few mistakes there. It all adds up. And then you get this gut-wrenching feeling like, man, this typical Colts, this isn't going to go right. And then, boom, there they go. They lose the game. So they lost to the Buccaneers this last week. Tennessee in overtime, same thing. Baltimore in overtime, way back in week 5. You had the first 3 games of the season where the Colts should have won those games. They're just not getting it done. And it is scary, Like, we know how good they are. They have all the talent in the world. They have all these pieces, and they just cannot do a complete game. And when they finally get that complete game put together, they can beat any team in this league. But thankfully, a bounce-back win this week against the Houston Texans, taking the Colts all day, should be a pretty easy game. Hopefully, they're able to work out some kinks, get back on the train, and sneak into the playoffs as we head down the end of the season here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of things from the Colts that were uncharacteristic. I mean, obviously 5 turnovers in a game for this particular team is just unheard of for this year. With the way they've been so good at taking care of the ball. But look, Nyheim Hines now has multiple muffs on punts this year that have resulted in 7 points for the other team. That was a giant play in that game. The defense got Tom Brady off the field, and we had a chance to go score. The first drive, if you think about the last drive of the first half where they They go for it on 4th and goal, T.Y. Hilton touchdown. They go up by 10. Then the first drive of the second half, the Colts are driving, looking like they're about to go score a touchdown. And then they get to about the 20-yard line, and Shaq Barrett just makes a play. That's not you don't blame that on anybody. That's just a guy making a play, and stop that drive. The sack fumble, and obviously the Bucs go down, score a touchdown. There were just a couple plays, the Rocky Sin. I wanted to bring that up because I've criticized Rocky Sin a lot, but I thought that was good coverage. Maybe you get him for holding because he had a grip on the dude's jersey, but he was running stride for stride. He didn't pull on the jersey. He didn't affect the receiver at all. To call that pass interference right there, I was pretty fucking hot about that one as I was watching the game. TJ Carey pass interference. I could see why you throw the flag. I thought that was pretty Mickey Mouse also, just didn't go their way in the second half. They played so well in the first half, but everything went wrong. You had 5 turnovers against the defending Super Bowl champions, and you only lost by a touchdown. That's what I would take away from that game. That's why I think the Colts are still one of the better teams in the league. Again, you have to fix those mistakes like you guys mentioned going forward. But when the Colts have played bad teams this year, they win and do it in impressive fashion. So I expect them to win by at least 3 touchdowns.
I don't have the stat here in front of me, but I saw it yesterday, and I meant to pull it out for today. But here's a cold hard fact: Brady owns the Colts, man. It's like 16-5. It's ridiculous. And I thought about that yesterday when it was unraveling. I thought, here he goes again. I don't. Early in the game, I thought, this is it. The monkey's off the back. The Colts are going to beat the Bucs. They're going to prove to themselves and everybody else they're one of the better teams in the league. And then it just all crumbled, and Brady walked out with another victory out of Indianapolis. It's like a bad movie.
As I was watching that game, I wasn't so much worried about what Brady was doing because I felt like the defense was containing the Bucs offense pretty well, except for Rob Gronkowski. Even Fournette with 4 touchdowns, he ended up with 100 yards by the end of it. But Gronk, every time the Bucs needed a big play, it was Gronk. And I just thought back. Every time he would make a big 3rd down conversion for Tom, I would think back to the previous times Gronk has been in Indy making huge plays, and it's just something those two always do.
Yeah, it's quite over it, to be honest.
That's why it is fuck Tom Brady forever and always.
Yeah, and I'm a Bucs fan, right? I live near Tampa. I'm a Bucs fan. But yesterday, I bleed blue, and there wasn't even contest. It was sad. It was heartbreaking to watch, knowing how good this team is and listening to all the bullshit. We've talked about all that. Everybody thinks they know everything. It just drives me crazy that I know how good this team is and they can't get out of their own way. But back on the conversation, they should take care of business pretty easily in Houston this weekend. So we're all 3 taking the Colts, and you should too. And we'll talk about the playoff picture here in a minute. All right, next game up, Washington Raiders. I don't have much to say about this. Washington's not very good. The Raiders can be good, but they'll be at home. And I'm going to take the Raiders on this one.
I kind of feel a little differently here. The Washington football team, even though they had 4-game losing streak, they snapped that with their win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a couple of weeks ago, and then they beat Carolina last week. I actually like Washington against the Raiders. They're just, I don't know. The Raiders, even though they snuck out a win against Dallas, it was still a win in overtime on Thanksgiving. We've already talked about Dallas. We don't know what's going on there. They're dealing with a lot of COVID and injuries, all that fun stuff. So that was more on Dallas as a football team rather than the Raiders being good. So I don't know. I can't take the Raiders in this one, so I'm going to take Washington.
This is one that I keep flip-flopping over because I don't know how to feel about it, because I think the Raiders only won that game on Thanksgiving because of all the penalties. Now, both teams had 14 penalties. But
yeah, it was ridiculous.
it was ridiculous to watch. But the penalties on what was his name, Anthony Brown, the corner for the Cowboys. I mean, he got 4 DPIs. Those are huge, and the Raiders don't put up 36 points if they don't get those DPIs. So, you know, I just don't think the Raiders are good right now. And this is what, you know, obviously we haven't watched Monday Night Football yet. I want to see if Washington can beat the Seahawks. I have them beating the Seahawks, but I want to make sure they're going to be consistent in the way they've been playing offensively and defensively. So I'm presumably going to be taking Washington, but if Washington loses to the Seahawks, I'll probably switch my pick to the Raiders.
Okay. Zach, if Washington loses the Seahawks, are you switching your pick?
It depends on how bad they lose, to be honest with you. If they get absolutely blown out and they look like an awful football team, then probably.
Okay.
But I don't know. We'll play it by ear, see how it goes. But as of right now, yeah, I got to go with Washington.
Okay. All right. Well, Zach and Hefe are taking Washington, and I'm going to move up a spot on them in the Pigskin Pick'em because I'm taking the Raiders. All right. Next game up is the Jaguars at the Rams. I don't care what happened to Los Angeles yesterday. I mean, they were playing the Packers. Jaguars are nowhere near the Packers, coming all the way across the country. A really bad team with a team that, got embarrassed in prime time and is probably going to retool and just kick the shit out of the Jaguars, to be honest.
Yeah, they should. It's the Rams have lost 3 in a row, but I think even though Stafford is playing hurt, he's still putting up about 300 yards a game. I'm actually going to blame Odell Beckham because they were fine until he showed up, but that's a whole different story for a different day. Oh, Von Miller too. Ooh, there you go. But yeah, they'll bounce back, put it together this week against Jacksonville. There's no way that Jacksonville can compete with the level of talent on this team. I mean, the Rams started out real hot. They're going through some adversity. I think they will get it together towards the back end of this and maybe make a run in the playoffs. We'll see. Right now, they're kind of an above average team, but Jacksonville's at the bottom. So let's be honest, this is going to be an absolute blowout.
Yeah, I feel a lot of the same way. You know, this one's easy. It's the Jaguars. Like, they upset the Bills a few weeks ago, so, you're saying there's a chance, But, 2% of people are on Jacksonville for this game on ESPN Pick'em. That's about the chance Jacksonville has to win this game. I'm taking the Rams all day.
All right. All three of us taking the Rams, and you should too. Unless you're from Duval, then, go ahead and do what you want.
But if somehow the Jaguars win that game, I will seriously start to consider the fact that Von Miller is a curse for NFL teams because they are 0-3 since they traded for him.
Okay. And OBJ doesn't have anything to do with that. No? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Von got there first and they've lost every.
Yeah.
So that's who I'm blaming.
Yeah. Never mind. We'll move on. Ravens and Steelers. This is in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not very good. This is a division game. And the Ravens, they may not be as good as we think they are. I mean, they have clawed their way. They very easily could be 4-7. But again, a win's a win. I'm not taking that away from them. They are 8-3, and they're top of their division. They're headed for the playoffs. But this could be an upset. Do I think it's going to be? No. I'm going to take the Ravens, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's a divisional game. Anything can happen. But yeah, I'm taking the Ravens. The Steelers, their defense is just not playing very well, and their offense have struggled all year as well. The Ravens, they've squeaked out quite a few games this year, but they have won, and good teams find a way to win in the end. So I'm going to take the Ravens. It could be an upset. The Steelers could win this, but all signs point to taking Baltimore this week.
That's how I feel too. It hasn't been easy for the Ravens. It hasn't been amazing games to watch with the Ravens. They've had a lot of ugly wins, a lot of close wins, and if not for John Harbaugh, I think Bill Belichick would be running away with the coach of the year right now. Obviously, Cliff Kingsbury is in that conversation too. But I think with all the injuries that are happening around the Ravens, you could lump Titans in that conversation with all their injuries. But they look like they're going in a completely different direction. The Ravens keep winning despite all the injuries to all the guys that all the starters, offense, defense. It just doesn't matter. They have so many guys out and they keep winning. So John Harbaugh, Coach of the Year, is going to figure out a way to get it done here in Pittsburgh. I am taking the Ravens.
Okay, we are all three taking the Ravens, and you probably should too, just to be quite honest. Okay, next up is the 49ers at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are just terrible, I think. Someone said to me they thought Russell Wilson start balling out and the Seahawks can win out. I'm not buying it. I think this marriage is coming to an end. Definitely this marriage has come to an end. And two, I think the wheels are coming off there in Seattle. Not that they can't be put back on and Pete Carroll keep his job and get a new quarterback and restructure and they come back to winning in a couple of years. I don't mean that. But long story short, the 49ers are just a good team that just can't get over the hump to get better. And sometimes they just also take shit on the field. But overall, I think they're the better team, and I'm going to take the 49ers.
Yeah, like we said earlier, haven't watched the Seahawks play Washington on Monday Night Football. That's coming. By the time you're listening to this, that result will already be in. However, last week we did talk about the Seattle Seahawks. I'll kind of echo the same thing that Brad said. Seahawks are a bad team, not very good. The Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll thing, they're splitting up at the end of the year here. So the 49ers, on the other hand, have quietly won 4 out of their last 5 games. So they are looking better. So I'm taking the 49ers this week.
And I feel like this Russell Wilson finger injury, I had heard Stefania Bell, who works for ESPN. She's does a lot of physical therapy work and stuff like that, sports science, that sort of thing. So, and she had talked about how that specific finger injury that Russell Wilson had is usually like a 10-week recovery period, and he came back after 3 weeks, and I feel like it's not all the way healed. He has a metal rod in his finger. I feel like he's trying to like relearn how to throw. And if you've thrown a football, that middle finger, it's obviously the last one that's coming off the ball. It's going to help you guide there. So I think the injury is affecting Russell Wilson. Just a little bit. In the NFL, it's a game of inches, and that little bit is affecting the entire Seahawks offense. The defense isn't very good. And a couple weeks ago, I thought that the Niners were going to lose a game, and then I was talking about Trey Lance. He's going to get his opportunity because the season's over. And here they are, absolutely balling out the last couple weeks. So this one seems like an easy pick, right? It's Niners all day.
Okay, we're all three taking the Niners over the Seahawks. The next up would be Sunday primetime game, the Broncos at the Chiefs, interdivision game for the AFC West. The Broncos are certainly capable of winning this, but I have to believe that Andy Reid, they're going to tighten things up coming down the stretch. They're in Arrowhead. They're a championship team. They know what's on the line and where they're headed. This is a big win for division to kind of lock things up there. So I'm taking the Chiefs.
You guys don't know how much I want to take the Broncos. I really think the Broncos could come in there and upset the Chiefs. But I have to play the safe pick here and take the Chiefs. They have won 5 out of the last 6 and 4 in a row. So they're clicking again. I really want to take the Broncos here, but I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm as the week goes on, I'm going to keep thinking about this one, and I might switch to the Broncos because I think their defense is good enough to hold what the Chiefs have been able to do this year. They've been inconsistent. Patrick Mahomes is near the top of the league in interceptions this year. I think the Broncos will be able to get at least one in this game. I think it'll be close. But the Chiefs have a bunch of stars, and ever since the Chiefs put Chris Jones back in the middle of the defensive line. They've been better at stopping the run, which has helped them all together. He's good at pass rushing from the middle too. So, the defense has been better ever since that transition happened. So that's really the only reason I'm picking the Chiefs here. But again, this one, I'm going to keep flip-flopping in my head with this one all week, but probably going to stick with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think it's safe to speak for Zach, too. I feel the exact same way. I would not be shocked if the Broncos won this game whatsoever. It's an interdivision game against two evenly matched teams for different reasons. I just have to, one, the Chiefs are at home, and two, they're a championship team, and they know what's on the line, and that becomes a factor. And so when you're picking apart and two evenly matched teams, and you're looking for subtle things, being at home in one of them, having dominated in a Super Bowl is another. So I have to think that's going to start coming into play. Not that the Chiefs are invincible. So hopefully this is a really good game, and I think it has potential to be. But we're all three taking the Chiefs. Okay, last up, Patriots at Bills. I'm going to say it. This is the crushing blow to the Buffalo Bills franchise for the 2021-2022 season. Belichick is going to completely stomp the AFC East out of their aspirations. It's going to be gone. Not that they're just going to beat them, but this is it. Patriots are going to win this game. The Bills are going to be fighting for a wild card spot, and Bill Belichick is going to live in their head rent-free, and he's going to own their ass. And I think the Bills' Super Bowl aspirations die this week.
It's very, very, very bold, but I think you may be onto something here. It's the Bills have been struggling offensively. I know they put up 31 on the Saints this last week, but they've been having a lot of struggles. They've been allowing a lot of points, at least with the Colts game. But over the last 6 games, they flip-flop between winning and losing, and they won this last week. So it is time for them to lose, and going up against the Patriots, who over the last 6 games have won every single time, and not only won, but done it in convincing fashion. Their defense is balling out. They've tightened up. The Patriots are on the rise to becoming the number 1 seed in the AFC. And yeah, I agree. They're going to put it on the Bills, and they're going to come out with a win here and seal up the AFC East.
This year's it's gonna have the feeling of a playoff game, especially on Monday night. What a great game for a Monday night football game! Yeah. You got to expect the Manning cast is going to be on it. That's going to be a great game to watch. And look, I think that because, like we mentioned with the Dolphins, level of competition they beat. The Patriots, I want to see, at the beginning of the podcast, I talked about how I want to see them beat the good teams. It's going to be one of them. And the Bills are at home. The Bills have playoff experience. Josh Allen has won in the playoffs. And again, with this being a playoff atmosphere, I think the Bills are going to be able to get the job done at home. This defense without Trey White kind of scares me. I want to see what they look like without Trey White. That's a huge blow to that defense. He is so good, so consistent. But I still think the Bills are going to be able to disturb the rookie. I think the pass rush for the Bills is going to be able to get home a few times and make Mac Jones have to throw on the run, which is good. Mac Jones, make him throw on the run a couple times. That opportunistic defense, I think, is going to be able to take advantage of a couple of those throws. Mac Jones doesn't make many mistakes. But I think the Bills catch them in one this week, and it helps them win this game at home. I actually have the final score being 27-23. I think it's going to be a really good game.
That's a pretty good guess. How'd you come up with that?
I did some calculations. It ain't a guess. That's what it's going to be.
It ain't no guess. That's what it's going to be. Mickey Valancourt. Okay, so Hefe's taking the Bills. Zach and I are taking the Patriots, but we all three agree either team can win this game. This is a really, really good game and has huge playoff implications. So I'm looking forward to watching this one personally. Okay, so let's run down the playoff picture real quick, shall we? Who did we do first last week? Did we do the AFC first last week? I don't remember.
I think so.
Okay. All right, so the Cardinals are in the first position at number 1, which, is typically the first position unless it's not, and then it's number 2. number 2 position is the Packers at the top of the NFC North. The Buccaneers are 8-3 in the 3rd position. The Cowboys are at 7-4 in the 4th position, which they would be in danger of losing that to the Eagles had they not lost to the Giants on Sunday. So the Cowboys breathing a little easier again today. The 5th spot is the Rams at 7-4. The 6th spot is the 49ers at 6-5. The 49ers creeping up there right behind the Rams. We thought the Rams were going to kind of lock this 5th spot up, but the 49ers are right behind them, 1 game in the same division. The Vikings are 7th at 5-6. And moving down from there, Atlanta's 5-6, New Orleans 5-6, Philadelphia's 5-7, Carolina's 5-7. So we basically have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie for King of the Dipshits for the last spot of the playoffs in the NFC as we come down the stretch. Anything you guys want to add here?
Not a whole lot. Like I said, San Francisco's been quietly, they won 4 out of the last 5, 3 out of the last 4, something like that. So no surprise that they're still up there in contention. I definitely think, I forget what we said last week, but I think Philadelphia still has a chance to be in there. New Orleans, I'm not so sure about New Orleans right now until they can get this quarterback situation all sealed up. But yeah, it's looking like these may be our top 7 teams here, unless Philadelphia could sneak in there, maybe replace Minnesota. But yeah, the NFC looks pretty locked in at this point.
That's how I feel. I think all 7 spots, the way they currently are, I think they're locked in. I think that's how they finished the year, all 7 of them.
Okay, that's interesting. Philadelphia gets a win and they move up. And Minnesota drops to Detroit. We got a real problem with that Minnesota spot. But anyway, we'll see how that all works out. AFC, we're looking at the Ravens have the number 1 spot at 8-3. The Patriots at number 2 at 8-4. The Titans at 8-4. The Chiefs at 7-4. In the 4th spot, the Patriots could make this run for this number 1 spot, especially if they pick up a big win against the Bills this week. We'll see how that plays out. But I think Baltimore is, probably going to pick up their win against Pittsburgh. So number 5 spot is the Bengals at 7-4. Also right behind the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens get a misstep, and Cincinnati keeps balling out. They may win this division, so there may be a flip flop there. The Bills are 6 at 7-4, which could be dangerous because if they lose Monday night, the Patriots will go 2 up in the AFC East, and they're slipping. The Bills are slowly sliding down this ladder. The Chargers are 6-5 in the 7th spot, and then from which they play Cincinnati, so they're probably going to slip. So Vegas, the Raiders have the Washington football team. We talked about that game. I mean, the Raiders, they got to win to stay alive, and this is a good opportunity to do it this week. Denver at KC, they're battling for their life. Indianapolis is going to get a win, so that they'll move up to 7-6. Hopefully, God, I hope I don't eat those words. So Indianapolis could easily slide up into the 7th. What's sad about it now is Indianapolis is sitting 10th, right? Mm-hmm. They win yesterday. They're right up here in 5th spot. Complete control of their destiny, and they couldn't get it done. But I mean, we can talk about Pittsburgh. They happen to just be floating around in that 11th spot because of their tie. Cleveland is technically ahead of them. Miami has an easier schedule at 5-7, so I don't see Pittsburgh playing a part in this. If Vegas loses to Washington and Miami and Cleveland, pick up some games here, they could be moving back up into the ranks. So, anything you guys want to add?
No, it's there's a lot of teams in contention. I don't see the Raiders doing anything. I don't see the Steelers doing anything. Denver needs to get this win against Kansas City, or they're going to be slipping down. Cleveland's slipping because of everything they're going through. Miami's going to be on the rise. Hopefully the Colts will be on the rise. They should be up there, but they keep killing themselves. And what if the Bills don't make the playoffs?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I meant about with the Patriots. The Bills came into the season with Super Bowl aspirations. So secondarily, the AFC East was almost a foregone conclusion. Right? I mean, 4 weeks ago, we thought the Bills had the AFC East locked up, and they were Super Bowl contender. And now they're struggling to keep it alive and hold it together, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I think if the Patriots beat them this week, it'll take the wind out of them. I think at that point they're going to be trying not to lose rather than trying to win like they were 4 weeks ago. And I think it may kill them, and it may just push them out of the playoffs eventually.
Yeah, the Bills losing on Monday night would be worst case scenario for them for sure. And I remember a couple weeks ago on one of our episodes when we were going into the Bills game, we were going into Week 12 and talking about the playoff picture. And I told you guys, if the Colts can go 1-1 between the Bills and the Bucs, I feel really good about their last 5. And, I know the Patriots and the Cardinals are back-to-back games in there. If the Colts go 3-2 in that spot, they end up 9-8. Is that good enough to make it in the playoffs in the AFC this year? Maybe. Don't feel great about it. So hopefully the Colts can win 4 of these last 5. It's going to be tough for them. Pretty confident they can go 3-2 and then hopefully slip in. I don't see, I can't see the Chargers, the Broncos, or the Raiders being playoff teams this year. I feel like, between the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Bills, and then the Colts, maybe the Browns, if they can figure out what they're doing, if they start playing Case Keenum, maybe they make it in. So I think there's only going to be a couple teams that are really fighting for it again. I just don't think the Chargers look like a playoff team. The Broncos don't look like a playoff team. The Raiders have fallen off the rails, and they don't look like a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree. The Colts, by the way, right now are sitting at a 48% chance to make the playoffs, which is terrible because the Titans are at a 98%, and the Titans aren't that much better than the Colts. I think I honestly think Colts are a better football team all in all if they can get their shit together. But I have to believe from what we've seen, everything we've seen so far this year, if things start to shake out like they should, I mean, it's been a crazy year so far, but towards the end of the season, things tend to right themselves. I definitely think the Colts get the 6th or 7th spot in this. And I hope that's the case. So, all right. Anything you want to say before we go? Nope. Okay. That's it for this week. We want to remind you to please be sure to show us some love, like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Tell all your friends and your grandma. Check out the Rundown and Fantasy Draft Central show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WUBI Ubiquity Radio at wubi.live. Find out more information. Never too late to join us, the ESPN Pigskin Pick 'em Challenge. We've had people jump in mid-season. It's a lot of fun. We announce the winners on the air. You can find us on our Facebook or Twitter pages. Find the link, at our Facebook, Twitter pages at Horsemen Sports. Or you can just search the Horsemen Sports on ESPN Pigskin Pick'em website. And of course, we will see you back here again next week for week 14 as we come down to the last couple weeks of the season. Until then, enjoy the games. Thanks for joining us. Deuces.